Welcome to Shoot Me Straight. Dave Fields, Eddie Gallagher, back again today.
I love how every time I'm like, go ahead, he's like, looks right at the camera. Welcome.
It's my signal. And then today we have, I'm going to screw it up.
Think ATF. Think Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Yeah.
Adam Tyler Free.
Adam Tyler Free from this area. Do you live in Destin?
I live in Santa Rosa Beach. I live actually 10 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Next to Grand Boulevard area. So I am a Santa Rosa Beach guy.
Heck yeah.
Not like
local.
Not like the trashy Destin guys. You know, like it's all the riffraff down there.
Yeah.
They're like the new Fort Walton Beach.
It's that's slowly creeping up that way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. We have to put like a demilitarized zone somewhere in Miramar Beach.
Demarcation zone.
To like really set the record straight.
Yeah. What's that? If you really love the 30A, send all your friends to Destin.
Yeah. Absolutely. Destin's great. Go. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Panama City.
Have like your fried shrimp basket and like have your beer and you'll be great. Yeah. Just stay down there.
Your tourist food.
It's amazing. Yeah. I'm gonna drive to the beach like a proper human being in a proper country, like right out onto the beach.
We really do live in a bubble here.
We do. We do. And I try and tell people all the time, I'm like, this is, honestly, I'm going to die in this county because, there's some negative aspects of living in an echo chamber. This is just one that I'm willing to overlook. My children live free. They enjoy life. They're not restrained by a classroom. A lot of people feel that way and live that way with their kids in homeschool co-ops like the one that we send our kids to. Everybody, there are very few purple-headed Starbucks baristas in this area. I'm not sure if that's okay or appropriate to say, but
you can say whatever you want.
That's the truth. I don't see many Subarus with coexist stickers, and I don't see purple-headed baristas. And it's like, so, hey, we're doing something right here.
And everybody seems to be pretty happy around here. That's the other thing.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, when people visit here that are not from here, and they come and visit us, we have a friend that she comes and visits from Maryland. She's like, people are just smiling. I'm like, look around. Wouldn't you smile too?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty beautiful.
This is the best echo chamber to live in.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Sure. And you know what? It's like everybody lives in their own echo chamber. Like wherever you live, you're pretty much surrounded by like-minded people.
Absolutely.
And it might, you have different beliefs or whatever, but what I've come to find out is like, even where my brother lives in DC, like it's super lib, and I used, I'm like, dude, how can you live here? But that's their echo chamber, so they're fine with it. They're like, dude, there's nothing wrong with it, even though from the outside looking in, I'm like, bro, I would not like to live in that area. But it's the same here, I'm sure a liberal would look at this area and be like, oh, like, no, and that's fine. It's like, well,
I prefer that. I would prefer for a liberal to come here and visit and be like, oh my God, turn to their, one woman turns to her wife and says like, we can never visit there again. Like, we did our job.
Yeah.
Job well done. And there are, that's like the fleshy part of me talking like that. There's obviously
love your neighbor but
absolutely. And I love them. I just love seeing them leave more than I love seeing them arrive. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Yeah. And I'm, like the truth is I'm not going to convince them. I'm not going to change their mind. That's the world we live in. Right. There's nothing I'm going to do or we as this echo chamber is going to do to change their mind. So like, just don't move here then.
Yeah.
Like just stay in DC and
this
that's totally fine.
Not for you.
And not everywhere is for I've been to Manhattan. I have family that live there. It's not for me.
Heck no.
Right? Like it's just not for me. I'm not going to like go out and try and ground on some fake grass on the 40th floor of my penthouse. Like that's not how I want to do life. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm totally okay with that.
Well, so most people that live here are transplants from somewhere else where they went, you know what?
That is true.
We've made it.
Yep.
Wherever, somewhere else, and now we're going to come and live the way we want and be free.
And to some respect, even if a super left-leaning liberal moved here because they wanted to live the way that they want to live, like everybody here would be fine with that.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, dude, my neighbor
can do that. Like,
for a long time was, lib. I love the dude. I get along with him. The only thing that we disagreed on was politics. And at the end of the day, I'm like, then let's just not talk about politics with each other. Like, because I really like how you are and the way you live your life. And that's how it should be.
That's how
it's
it
like,
should
dude,
be.
okay, man, we don't have to agree on everything, but we shouldn't like draw a line over one topic and be like, that's it. You know, it's like, cool, we can be cool with each other, as long as I'm not going to push my views beliefs on you.
That's the difference.
And
That's the
don't push
differentiator.
them on me.
Because when I say we, what I mean is most conservative, God-fearing Republican people, we don't push our view on anybody. We get told that we do, but that's just like, you can scream at a lamp and call it a fire hydrant. It's not going to change. It's just, it is what it is. Like, they scream and say that we push our view. I think we're just proud of our view. But if you don't believe it, then dude, the truth of the matter is that we're going to die and we're going to meet the creator of the universe. And that's going to be on you, man. Like, that I'm doing the best that I can. If you want to hear what I have to say, let's grab coffee and let's talk about it. But if you don't, that is your choice. And it just does, that turnstile doesn't swing the same way for them. They don't say, well, that's just your opinion. Men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. Like, I respect that, but I don't believe that, but I respect that.
Yeah.
No, it's like, you're a misogynistic, like, piece of shit.
Well, on that same token, like with topics like that, right? That's an extremist view.
For sure.
Right. So I don't really lump those like extremist views in with the rest of like, what if you want to split it into two things, like the Democratic Party, right? I think there's the majority of the left doesn't like that either, right? But the problem is they had the extreme on both sides have taken over. And that is what the views are like.
They have the loudest megaphone.
They have the loudest megaphone, and that's what everybody plays. Okay, like if you have your extremists on the right that are like, yelling
for sure
all this crazy stuff, and it's like, well, then the left will be like, well, that's how all the right thinks, and it's the same with the left, where there's people that are like, oh yeah, I'm all about men competing in women's sports. I think it's fine. This whole transgender thing. That's how the right then identifies the left. It's like, you guys all agree with this.
That's true.
The majority of us are in the center.
That's
and
very
we're
true.
Like, no, we actually agree on most things. There's probably a couple things that we don't agree on, but that's okay. Except the problem is the extreme views have taken over everything.
Everything.
And that's how we then identify who's on the right or left. It's like,
well, think about Trump's cabinet now. Like, no truer point can be made about what you just said. Tulsi Gabbard and RFK are not traditional, like, conservative voices. Like, most conservatives would say, like, hey, I don't agree with a lot of Tulsi's gun stuff, Democrats. Or RFK's, energy policy or whatever it might be. But, like, we laud them now. Like, we applaud their effort. And I was wrong. It's okay for me to disagree with Tulsi Gabbard, but it's also okay for me to say there's not a better person, man, woman, or otherwise, for the job she's doing.
But you know what? Here's the crazy thing, right? Tulsi, RFK, like, they all were on the left, right? Democrats, that's what they labeled themselves as, until the Democratic Party turned on them. And then they're like, okay, well, now I'm going to go on this side. But their views did not change.
Right.
They didn't change their views from when they left the Democratic Party and came, I guess. And that's what I hate. It's like, they left that party and now they're part of this party. It's like, no, they're still themselves. They just are like, this doesn't make any sense over here, and you guys are attacking me for speaking my views. So I have no other choice but to go on this side and speak my mind because they're allowing me to. Now, does that make them Republican now? Because their views have not changed.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't.
Like they're just speaking common sense.
That might be the takeaway, that the independent party might be the party that grows the quickest because, in a lot of ways, like, I grew up thinking, hey, fiscally I'm conservative, socially I'm pretty democratic. Like, I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Like, full disclosure, I'll enjoy a left-handed cigarette. Like,
a
that's
left-handed cigarette. Yeah. I haven't heard it called that.
I could care less. Biblically, there are things about two men or two women getting married, but the truth of the matter is that what would Jesus say? He would probably love them. I think about stories like the woman by the well. Like, Jesus hung out with all the people that society would say
are outcasts.
Mm-hmm. or you shouldn't love them. Like, nobody in their right mind back then would ever touch a leper. And Jesus reached out and grabbed this guy. Like, no far right-wing conservative Republican would ever get caught on a microphone having a discussion with a transgender man. Like, they're not going to do that. But me, I'm pretty okay with that, right? Like, I'm not going to be gay because we had a conversation. Like, that's not how it works. Right?
Yeah, I mean.
So I find myself really more center anyways as it stands now, although my political meme history wouldn't back that up whatsoever.
Well, a good example of that would be Jesus with the adulteress, right?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't mean that he was okay with adultery.
No. In fact, what did he say? What did he say in Scripture? He said, "Go and flee from sin. Yeah. Sin no more." He didn't say like, "Hey, go and like do your thing, like whatever, like follow your heart." Yeah. No, go and sin no more. So.
Hey, what's up, guys? If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a huge fan and supporter of Firecracker Farm. Alex, the owner, is not only an incredible human being, but he makes an incredible product, and that is why we could not be happier that they are sponsoring the Shoot Me Straight podcast. Each guest, when they come in, will get a sample of Firecracker Farm so they can take it back and enjoy, and I can tell you, to each person that we've given it to, they have not been disappointed. You can put these, put this salt on your favorite food, favorite beverage. I've even seen people put it in their coffee. They love it. There's an assortment of heat, so if you don't like it too hot, they definitely have that taken care of with some mild flavors. And then it goes all the way to extreme heat if you like to sweat. So if you guys are interested in purchasing some, go to firecracker.farm. All right, thank you for listening, and God bless.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So let's get the audience to know who you are.
Okay.
So obviously we've already established you're a Santa Rosa Beach local.
That's right. I am.
You are a veteran.
I am a veteran
Of the United States Army.
Yes.
Who,
yes. So I don't quite eat crayons, but my knuckles are pretty scarred up.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like somewhat retarded, but like just not retarded enough to operate heavy machinery and things like that.
Yeah, not retarded enough to be a Marine.
No. I did run over roughly $500,000 worth of radio equipment in a Humvee before. Didn't see it. Didn't have the. What are they called? The like walkers. You know how like when you drive a Humvee around and you have to have like the guys with the hard hats.
Yeah.
I had stuff to do. I'm like, Brandon, get in the Humvee. Like we gotta roll. And I just backed over this stuff. I'm like, I don't know what that is. They'll figure it out. And they'd certainly figured it out.
The taxpayers' money well spent.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. Well, listen, Elon's figuring all that out right now, anyways, right? So I'm sure that'll be chalked up. But yeah, I am a veteran. I'm a veteran of the 82nd Airborne due to my inability to do hard things. So we'll probably touch base on that. The Q course is a wild place.
I definitely want to get into that.
Okay.
We've had some Green Berets on before. We've gotten into a little bit of what you guys go through for your selection, but you can definitely get your experience.
Yeah, it was different. And everybody has their time, right? Like, the last hard class was like, what's the saying? Like, my class was the last hard class or something like that. There might be some truth to that. I went through the Q course in 2009, so it was a totally different world, obviously.
That's when there was a big push to get more bodies. And that was the same in the SEAL teams too. They wanted to grow the force at that time because the war was still raging on, and they looked like there was no end in sight. So their immediate answer was like, and the special operations were doing the bulk majority of the work at that time.
And ironically enough, like the old saying is, you can't mass produce special operators. And then the second that they needed to, they were like, hey, what's that saying? Like, just make sure nobody like finds out about that, all right? We're going to mass produce a bunch of special operators. Like, some of them are going to be total fuck ups.
Quantity over quality.
Doesn't matter. Like, just shove them through.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, before that, listen, I grew up in a totally broken home, horrible situation. I was well taken care of. So like I was fed and I was clothed, and that's about it. In terms of like, when I look back on how I'm raising my children, I was clothed and I was fed and I was given a roof over my head. That was about it. Figure it out.
Where
at?
So this is Cape Coral, Florida. My parents went through a horrendous divorce, and my mom kept me from my dad up until I was about 7. So think birth to 7, I lived with my mother until one day she just didn't want to be a mom anymore and dropped me off on my dad's doorstep. So after all the horrific things I'd heard about my dad, now all of a sudden, like, I'm on his doorstep. And I'll never forget walking to the end of this long street. Mikado Court is the street I lived on. And I waited at the end of the street because I was like, surely my mom is picking me up. Like, this is not happening, right? And I was only 7, so like I didn't have the context to like have this discussion in my head. All I knew is that my mama was gonna come get me, and that day never came. It just never happened. And I was inserted into a family with my dad and his girlfriend at the time with her 4 children. And they were all girls. And it was just like, deal with it. So that sucked. And then, 20 years later, I find out that there were some situations that happened in my home that I wasn't privy to, which explain why my stepmother treated me completely different than my stepsisters. And just because of our time hack, I'm not going to go into that, but not an ideal situation. So my dad couldn't stick up for me the way that he maybe wanted to because of some choices that he made. And that left me as a 7 to 18-year-old on the front lines by myself, which was miserable.
Facing 5 women?
Yeah. Yeah. 1 bathroom.
Oh, dang, homie.
Yeah. So through all that, though, the one thing my stepmother did for me was she introduced me to Christ. She brought me to church. She had no idea what she was doing. We had no idea what we were doing. All I know is that's where I met or was introduced to the church. And I got baptized as a 10-year-old, not because I wanted Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. It was because I wanted somebody to recognize me in my house. Like, I wanted somebody to make me feel like I belonged. And I thought that was the only way that I could do it, right? And the church is great for that. So that was it. But fast forward to high school, I went to a really great school, a private Catholic school, played football, and I had a full scholarship to West Point. And my father made every decision for me in my life except for that one and left me on an island. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I had other scholarship offers.
Mm-hmm.
They were all.
What, your dad did just let you, he didn't back you going to West Point?
No, he did. He was very proud of the fact that I was going to go to West Point. What happened was I was a very exceptional football player and an absolutely mediocre classroom guy. Just could not care less. I loved football because it was the only place where I could physically assault somebody and not go to jail for it. And I had a lot of pent up anger. Yeah. And so when I put a football helmet on, I was just a menace to society. Okay. When it came to the classroom, I was like, get me out of here as fast as I can. Let me put pads on so I can just destroy my brain, basically. Right. So I get the offer. I take my SATs. They want me to go to prep school. And I just thought that I was too good for that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. If I had a 4.0, I would have been recruited by, I think, a lot of other schools, but I didn't. So they wanted me to go to prep school. I turned it down. I thought I was going to go to another school. Well, all the other scholarships were dried up. Once they found out that I was committing to West Point, back then it was 2002. It was a totally different world. So my buddies that were a year ahead of me, they'd already gone to Annapolis and West Point. So they were already there playing football. I turned it down, and that's where trouble started for me. I drank and drugged my way from 18 to 25, just completely lost. From 18 to 25, you still think the world owes you something, and it just does not.
Yeah.
It doesn't care.
I think that happens to most young men.
It does.
In that age range, is they're sort of lost in what is my what am I going to do in life? And they end up wandering around through their 20s.
and through no fault of his own, and I want to make the distinction now that I have learned, because of the way I have found out that Christ loves me, that the best thing that I can do for my mother and father is just love them, right?
Yeah.
My dad did the best that he could with the tools that he was given. right? So if anything, I feel sadness for my dad. I feel sad for my mom. You know, my mom, my grandparents were Polish immigrants. They were liberated from a concentration camp in World War II and moved to Argentina where my mother was born. Then they moved to New Jersey. They spoke zero English and she was an only child. She probably didn't have it pretty easy, right? So I look at all that and today, before that's what led me down the path of like, fuck you. Like, how you're supposed to protect me. You're supposed to like be the teacher and the guider and the comforter, and you did none of that for me. I was so bitter and so angry that like any party, any drug, any drink that was offered, that I was gonna do that first, because once that hit me, it was like I was completely numb for at least a few hours.
Yeah,
like at least a few hours. I was like, I don't give a shit, like, whatever. And then I'd wake up, I'd skip a class at the community college I was going to play video games, and then like do it all over again. And I just thought like and you know, I thought, hey, like give me money, like you owe me.
Yeah.
Right? You owe me. And the government, like with student loans, they were happy to give me money. They were like, wait, you want money? Like I'll give you money. What do you want to even go to school? You don't have to go to school, just take the money, like just whatever, you know? So I lived a long time of just drinking, partying, and got nowhere in life. Absolutely nowhere. And this was probably July of 2009. I was evicted out of my apartment. My car was repossessed. I had to lie to a family member that my wallet got stolen just so somebody would like send me $100 cash so I could eat food. Everything was turned off. I walked into a recruiter's office and I was like, what's the hardest thing that you could do?
Yeah.
And they're like, be a Green Beret. I'm like, you can just like do that? They're like, yeah, we have a new contract. Here, just sign up here. You know how
old X-ray program.
Yeah. So they sold me a bill of goods, man. And 3 months later, I was on my way to Fort Benning with conjunctivitis in my eye because I had no health insurance, and all I wanted to do was like pick my own eye out with like a spoon because it was so painful. So I show up to basic training. They're like, holy shit, like who is this guy? You know, get me fixed up. They take me to the doctor, like first doctor I've seen in 10 years, it feels like. So, and that was it. I went to basic. I can't remember how long it was, 14 or 16 weeks.
Where was that at?
Benning.
Benning, okay.
Fort Benning. And it was interesting because I was so desperate for change in my life that basic training, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I get fed, I have clothing, like you just tell me where to be and like what time I'm supposed to be there and what uniform I'm supposed to be wearing, and just keep my fucking mouth shut, like done. That's the easiest. Like if it would be at that point, if it was like spend another 10 years doing basic training or go back to the life you were living, I'd be like, I'll stay here for 10 years. Like this is fine. You
know what's funny is when I went to Navy boot camp, there was a guy, this black kid that was in there, and he kept getting, they call it getting asmoed, and I forget what that term means, but you just keep getting recycled back. And he had been there for a year.
Did somebody figure it out?
Well, we were like, dude, because he wouldn't do any of the simple things that were told, like, hey, make your bed, or like, dude, and it's like, dude, these are simple freaking things to do. Like, this isn't hard, especially Navy boot camp. You're like, this is half gay. It's like, dude, this is ridiculous. But this guy would not do any of it, and we were like, dude, why won't you just do it? And he's like, dude, I came from nothing, like just dirt poor from the South. And he's like, I get fed here. I get a bed to sleep in. I'm good. I don't want to leave this place.
He's getting
paid.
Like, I'm
Buddy,
getting paid.
You will keep getting fed.
Yeah.
They'll give you a better place to stay if you get out of here.
Yeah, it's not this bad forever.
He's like, dude, I'm fine here. You know?
That's the treachery of life, man. That's the brutally honest truth of a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
Do a lot sign up sometimes because they can't make a decision. They don't know what route to go. I mean, that seems like kind of a common thing.
I think there's a mixed bag. I think there's people that sign up because it's their last ditch effort. And that I was pretty much one of those guys as well.
Yep.
You do have people that sign up that are like dead set on like, I want to serve my country. They're like super patriotic.
Oh yeah.
But then you have the people that come from, all different backgrounds, and they'd say they signed up just as like, okay, this is going to be an experience, and then I'll
some
give me
people
a direction.
Some people were doing it, there are amazing benefits. I mean, some people were like, hey, I'm just doing this because my college will be paid for and like I can go buy a home with like no money down. Like I applaud those guys too, because I didn't have the mental capacity at 18 years old to make those kind of decisions. I was like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Which is a totally it's not an approved methodology that I would use now. Like I'll just figure it out. Like that's not going to happen. You're not just going to figure it out, right? So like Eddie said, there's a mixed bag. I went in with guys, one guy that played football at Northwestern, and was like a financial planner, like hyper successful, and he was just like, I want to be a special operator. I'm like, awesome. Mm-hmm. One guy who was a Clemson guy, he was an architect, like a successful architect, and he's like, I want to be a special operator. I'm like, the God's honest truth is, I had no idea what a special operator was, what they really do. My only thought on it was like, oh, okay, it's like Ranger Regiment, I guess. Like I signed up to be a Green Beret, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Job well done on whoever the recruiter was. If you hear this, like, you should get a medal for that. Yeah. Because of the way that you explain what it is that we're doing. No one told me what it was. So I show up to basic with a bunch of guys that have like studied the playbook of like what we're going through. And I'm like, wait a second, what did you just say? What is SEER school? Like, we have to do that? Like, fuck that. Like, seriously? And they're like, oh, you're in now. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I think that's the beauty of the way it is, the way it's designed, right? Because you show up, and Eddie, you didn't go as an X-ray. Like, you went in, you were an enlisted Marine for X amount of years.
So I was in the Navy.
Or in the Navy, okay.
So I chose, and everything happened by happenstance. Like, I chose a medic as my rate because I was told that was the quickest route to get to BUDS, to go to be a SEAL. Little did I know that was BS. And so when I graduated boot camp, they're like, no, we're full on medics. But the good thing is the Marine Corps doesn't have their own medics. We supply them from the Navy. So I got to choose, like, hey, you can either go on a ship, work in a hospital, or go be with the Marine Corps. And I was like, send me to the Marines. That's where I want to be. And so I pretty much cut my teeth with the Marine Corps. Which is amazing. I remembered, because I had a best friend, a couple of them that were, at this time, they were officers, graduated from Annapolis. And, I wanted to wear the blood stripe. I wanted to join the Marine Corps, but they did not have any kind of special operation unit, or like MARSOC wasn't even, I don't know when the transition started or when they actually started sending guys through. Around that time is when MARSOC
was like being stood up.
Yeah.
And then they were very adamant about you had to be a Marine first.
Yes.
And, I was still hanging on to lineage from high school where it was like, I'm better than that. Like, what a jacked up mentality at 24 to think that,
it's like,
right?
And that's just out of pure ignorance too.
Total ignorance. So, I wanted to be a Raider. Like, that was what I was like, that's badass. I love the Marine Corps. I love how blue collar the Marine Corps appeared to me. But whatever, it didn't happen. So I get to group. But like, when you were going through BUDS, at that point, you're already in it. Yeah. And you look around at dudes around you and you're like, well, fuck it. Like, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. Whatever. Like, I don't know. I guess SEER school, sure. Language school. I don't even know how to speak proper English. Like, you're going to teach me Pashto? Like, go for it, man. Like, whatever it is, whatever we got to do, I'm in it with my boys. It was like the first time I had been really missing the team. As a high school athlete, I bought in wholeheartedly to the team. Like, it wasn't about me. It was about, we want to be the absolute best we can be together. Everyone has a job. Just do your job and life will be good. Don't do your job and life is going to suck because losing sucks.
Do you think some of that had to do with you growing up and not feeling a part of that family unit?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. I never felt like I belonged anywhere in my life until I was 37 years old. I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I earned enough. I always, even when with my walk with Christ, I always thought I always thought it was by works and not by faith. And so I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. My perception, and a psychologist could sit here and diagnose me and say, that probably has a lot to do with your codependency when your mother left you. And like, yeah, that's probably it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I probably don't feel wanted.
I would say that is the large majority of the Spec Ops community, is they join for validation.
100%.
They come from whatever troubled background. Most of us have some sort of trauma in our background. We've lived a life of chaos already when we're little. We know how to operate in that chaos, but we are very unsure of like who we are.
Yeah.
We feel like we don't belong anywhere, like you just said, and we want to feel validated.
That's why
Like,
we build
we
ourselves
wanna
up.
Prove to whoever you want to prove to, like, I am better than you think I am.
100%.
And that is what drives a lot of people to go to the special operations community. Like you had just said, you had no idea what Green Berets did,
I
but
had no idea.
you asked, what's the hardest thing? And they were like, that. And you're like, okay, just that alone, that challenge, it's like, that's what I want to do. If that's the hardest thing, like you could have went in there and been like, yeah, I want to just join the military and like send me wherever. But you're like, no, I want the hardest thing.
I want to be an
because I wanna
88
prove
Mike.
to
I want to drive
whoever-
trucks.
Yeah, like I want to prove to whoever.
Right. Well, that's
That-
the truth, Eddie, is that, like, again, I referenced the guys that went on to Annapolis and West Point and they played football at a very high level. A couple of them had NFL opportunities, and they always looked at me as the jokester. Like, I was always the guy that would walk into the room and like make everybody laugh, but they had no idea that that came from a place of total pain and emptiness.
Yeah.
Right. So they always looked at me as like I was Dupree. I was like the guy that would live on the couch and like crack jokes and it'd be funny. But then I found out that they weren't laughing with me. They were laughing at me. And it was right around that point that I stopped laughing at myself. And I was like, this is kind of a joke. This is kind of a joke, right?
Yeah.
At one point, I had people looking at me and they're like, amazing promise, like this kid's gonna be incredible, like despite what he's gone through. And then it turned into quickly, he's exactly what most people are that go through that. And it was not cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be validated. Nobody validated me my entire life. Nobody even really gave two shits, to be honest. And I don't say that in a like pity way. My dad, for all of his faults, missed 2 sporting events in my life. Oh. For all the things that my dad did wrong, when it came to sports, like that man showed up.
Yeah.
All right.
Further solidified, hey, through sports or through my activities, I get value.
100%. So it was like if I was crushing it on the football field, if I was, as long as I was laying people out on Friday night, I got the handshake, I got the hug, I got a $20 bill slipped in my hand. And that was like, Friday night was like the 1 ounce of freedom that I had.
Yeah.
Literally Saturday morning woke up, and while my buddies got to like hang out and go to the beach or whatever, it was like I was on my dad's framing crew and he kind of forgot who I was.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, and it's like he wasn't teaching me anything, because throughout all the times that he'd make me work on his crews, it was never like he had a foreman that he said like, hey, not only have Adam do all the shit work, but like tell him why he's doing it. Like show him how to rewire that, or show him why you're plumbing it in this way. It was just work. It was just work. And, again, I look back at choices that he made that I think my stepmother pressured him into treating me a certain way. Knowing my dad's heart now today, I don't think that he, looking back, would have wanted to treat me the way that he did. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for me to love him now through that, instead of be like angry and bitter, because the truth is we all have a closet, and he'll answer for it. He'll answer for it. And my only hope and prayer for him and my mom and really anybody is that they get to a place with Christ that they empty that closet and they're like, take it from me, so that I can just live the rest of the time that you give me here in peace and in joy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I showed up to the Q course, and, I didn't prepare at all for anything. I mean, I think I went on like one run, and I was of the opinion running breeds cowardice, like, so
unless you're running after somebody.
Yeah, like then one of my Q course instructors was like, yeah, but what about if you're fucking running to the enemy and you're gonna go kill somebody? I'm like, shit.
Yep.
Like, all right, that doesn't work out anymore. Like, I can't just say that. But I basically the context behind that is I didn't prepare. I just showed up and I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that mentality through language school. So there's, I won't bore everybody with like the particulars of what the Q course is like. It's an 18-month or 15-month total. It's just screw with your mind, right? It's like at every turn, like somebody might say you're not good enough, and that's like our biggest fear.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're in this for validation, and like my biggest fear is someone being like, hey, you're not good enough. Huh. And in language school, I'm learning Pashto. I'm like, I don't even have a college degree. How am I learning this language? But it's happening. And then in that 6-month time period, there's gated events. And one of them was a 5-mile run in under 40 minutes. Like something right now I could do in my jeans because I've trained my body to do that. But we go on this run and I fail the run. A lot of particulars about that. I had a buddy that heat catted in front of me that ended up getting kicked out of the Army because his liver was destroyed.
So he was a heat casualty?
He was a heat cat. I stopped with him. I made sure one of the instructors could get to him because he was like blue. So he was in my room, in my barracks room next door to me, and I heard him and our other buddy, Aaron Whitman, rest in peace, drinking until like 4 a.m. And like they were younger at the time. I'm 24. These guys were like 18. I'm like, hey, whatever it is that you guys do, figure it out. Like they could run. Well, he cats. I make sure he's okay. I come in about 10 seconds too late. And the particular instructor, Sergeant Froschiser, he jumped into Panama, like old Ranger Regiment dude, just a salty AF instructor. He had this really high-pitched voice, like, hey, motherfuckers, like, you guys line your shit up over here. So I would always make fun of him. And he caught wind of me making fun of him one day. So as I'm running in, he's holding the clipboard with like his champion sweatpants like tucked into his socks and like crusty hair because he probably just rolled out of bed. And he's like, oh, fucking free. Look at this. 10 seconds overtime. He's like, hope you enjoyed the 82nd. And like, that was it. My career, I thought, was over. I appealed to the major. I'll never forget. He looked at me like unwrapping his Subway sandwich and dropped it on his desk. He's like, hey, like, here's the truth, man. I don't give a fuck. Like, did you fail? Well, technically. He's like, well, technically you get out of my office. I was like, yeah. Roger that. So I stood up, got all my stuff together, and realized I was going to the 82nd, which for guys in the Q course, especially X-rays, all you hear are horror stories about the regular Army, right? Because in the Q course, you get like
a little
slivers.
Taste. Yeah.
You get a little taste of like, your hair doesn't have to be quite as cut. Your uniform, your PT uniform is all black. And it's like usually like a Nike t-shirt and some Nike shorts. And I showed up to the 82nd with some ankle socks on, and like I had a significant emotional event. Like I had a water source, I was brought out back, and it was like 10 hours of fuck games because my socks were not above my ankle bones, right? So I was looking around going, oh my God, like no one told me. No one told me like this was the prison that I was going to go to if I didn't meet the standard. Lucky enough, I had an instructor at one of the phases that I made friends with, Dazrell Fleming. This dude, if you could close your eyes and picture Prince in BDUs, like that was Daz. Like this dude was the coolest guy, super nice, super humble. I was like, that is what I think of when I think of a special operator. Like a dude that if you flip the switch on, like he'd kill you in a heartbeat. But most of the time it's off and he's a pretty chill, normal dude. Well, I reached out and I appealed to everybody. I appealed to everybody on this. I reached out to Daz and he just happened to be doing some time in SWIC under the Command Sergeant Major who was in
is the training center.
The training center for the Green Berets. Yep. And he at the time had just been moved out of an instructor phase. He was doing some like administrative time, really just to pin 8 shortly. He was working for the CSM who was in charge of bringing soldiers back. And after 13 long months, he brought me in front of this guy. This guy asked me a couple questions. I had earned my EIB in the 82nd. I had
What's EIB?
an expert infantryman's badge.
Okay.
So, you know, and that's a sought after licky and chewy. Again, validation is all we're looking for. So the more like lickies and chewies you can have on your uniform, like the more important you are. That's how we equate that. And so he was, and you know, and that was the other thing. When I got to the 82nd, I, for the first time in my life, accepted responsibility for where I was. I didn't practice running. So for 13 months, I would run. We would do a 12-mile road march out of the field. I'd be carrying the M240 Bravo and all the ammo. I'd haul that thing in, never stop, never take it off. I'd drop all my equipment. They'd cut us loose. I'd put my running shoes on. I'd barely even get out of my ACUs, and I'd be going on a 15-mile run. Like, that never would have happened, but it was because I had nowhere else to run anymore. Like, there was no more excuses. There was no more, like, no one else to blame it on. And I remembered I would see my buddies that I left behind, or they left me behind in the Q course driving, and they would like slow down on our dens, and they'd see me running, and they're like, "You think you're ever gonna make it back?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's why I'm running.
Yeah.
Like, it's why it's dark outside, and you guys are you guys are literally going to the bar, and I'm running on our dens. Like, so, at the time that I had that meeting with the CSM, I feel like I was prepared. I feel like for the first time I had earned my ability to stand before somebody and say, I deserve a shot. Like, I'm one of the guys you want back.
Yeah.
You put me out because of my own personal choices that were wrong. And now I'm here, I'm clawing back. Like, I've done everything right. Never any trouble. I put my head down. I did all the dumb shit. I shaved my face in the field, like all the dumb shit, right? Like, anything they asked of me, I did it to the best of my ability and then some. And I went back in the Q course and finished. And, you know, one of the best days and saddest days was walking across the stage and they handed me my beret. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to like feel better.
No, you didn't feel any sense of like accomplishment?
No, it was, at that point it was, there's a war like raging right now. The uncomfortable truth was I have to go to group and I have to now do this all over again. I have to like PP measure all over again.
Yeah.
Like, now I have my beret. Now I'm just an E5 with a beret. Now it's like I'm going through the Q course again. You know, everybody wanted to, you know, the first thing you show up into a team room, it's like, what's your bench? What's your squat? How fast can you run? You know, it's like, I don't know, like, how about I'm a good guy? Like, I'll never, I will, it is you and me, bro. And it's you and me. It's not you and me, bro, unless it's you or me, which is the mentality that most dudes have. I was like, I'm ride or die. I'm going to spend the rest of my life right here. So I don't know. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Right? Let's go work out, I guess. So it's constantly a PP measuring contest. It's there's some reasons that's good. There's some reasons that's not good. And my military career ended really sadly, to be honest with you. Imagine you're an NFL athlete. You're a guy training to go to the NFL. And you've done everything right. Like, you've done all the hard things. You trained your ass off, all the camps, all the late night workouts. And you get the contract. You show up to your team and you literally blow your knee out inside out, and your football career is over before you ever even step field in the uniform.
So is that what happened? You got
That's
hurt?
what happened. So I get to group a guy named Sean McClure, who was a instructor for me. He had taken a team in Bravo Company. I was sent to Charlie Company, and or company battalion, 3rd Battalion. This is how detached I am from all this. So I was sent to 3rd Battalion. He was in 2nd Battalion, and they were deployed. 3rd Battalion was deployed, and they wouldn't send me. I'm like, you guys need echoes. Like, I know, and I was a commo guy, an echo. I'm like, we knew that they needed echoes, and the sergeant major was about to retire. Gil Vargas, I think is his name. He was about to retire. And so he's like, no, keep them all back there. So Sean was like, hey, I'm gonna work my magic. I'm gonna pull you into 2nd Battalion, which was like a major no-no for whatever unwritten rule. Like, stupid, right? I wanted to go to work. Like, I'm here to work. I'm not here to like pound the keyboard. So he pulls me onto his team. We're about to go to Honduras, and my CSM finds out about it, and he pulls me back to 3rd Battalion, and he basically tells me When he gets back in country, first of all, he told me, don't do anything until I get back in the country. Then he gets in the country, looks me dead in the eye, all 4'8" of him, and he's like, you'll never do anything in special operations. Like, your career is over.
Because you blew your knee out.
No, because I wanted to go to another battalion. I wanted to go to 2nd Battalion to go to work. Like, I wanted to go play.
You want to deploy.
I want to play. Yeah, I want to deploy.
Why you though? Wasn't it the sergeant or whatever that brought you over into 2nd Battalion?
There was always I always knew that that's a no-no, right? Like, you're assigned, like, somebody with a higher pay grade than me determined that 3rd Battalion needed echoes, and so, like, I was subverting somebody else. When in like the private sector or in like corporate America, it would have just been somebody making a smart decision. They would have been like, hey, that's a great decision. Like, that's a great idea. Like, why don't we do that? But here I was subverting somebody else's authority, his primarily. He felt like, so he basically told me my career was over. Sends me to an S shop, and I'm like,
S shop is
is like administrative.
Like, yeah,
it's like, yeah. I was basically in like the commo shop. Okay. So I was like fixing radios. I'm like, oh, like, what is going on? So a first sergeant at the time was like, hey, I got a Halo slot. He's like, do you want to go to Halo school or you want to go to dive school? And I'm like, but Vargas said, he's like, don't worry about it. We have to fill the spot. So, like, I'd rather send a tab dude than some supply guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, screw the water. That's why I didn't become a Navy SEAL. And I was like, I hate heights, but fine, Halo school. So I go, and Halo school is great. But on my last jump, I made some corrections under 500 feet that you probably shouldn't, lost some incels, and ended up falling. I mean, last time I checked my altimeter, it was like 250 feet. And cigarette rolled on me. And I mean, I had just enough drag, it kept me alive, but I hit the deck pretty hard, and that was it.
A cigarette rolled on you.
Like, my parachute looked like basically, I don't even know if that was actually fully what it looked like, because it was night and we didn't jump nods because we didn't want to lose them. You know, you've been in that position before, right? So night jump, no nods, just jump.
Follow the chem lights.
Yeah, just get out. Follow like, at the time it was like red beacons on everyone's back. And I remember seeing all the beacons just like shoot up in the air, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, how'd that happen? And then my altimeter's winding, and I'm like, oh shit. So obviously no time for any kind of reserve or anything. And I had enough drag. You know, you have that.
So when you opened your, obviously, canopy.
Yep.
Did you look up?
Yeah, everything was fine. I had a full canopy. It was really windy. I didn't want to land in a cactus. Like, we were all supposed to be going to the VFW afterwards and like drinking and hanging out. And like, the last thing I wanted to do is be like picking cacti out of my shoe and being made fun of. So I'm like, I just made some really sharp adjustments. And for whatever reason, one of the end cells just kind of collapsed on itself. And then it just rolled up. And so I hit the deck, and my career was over. Basically, they were like, "Hey, we can reclass you, like send you somewhere else. You can be anything. You're never going to be operational. You can't stay operational in a group, but you can go somewhere and do a job. You'll just be a tabbed guy doing another job somewhere, or we can med board you." And I was like, "Tell me about that." And you know, I think my ego and honestly the pain of I was doing this for validation, and now I'm broken and I can't be validated. So like, the last thing I wanted to do again in my career was watch my peers just excel while I was stuck doing some miserable job.
It's a shitty spot to be in, for sure.
Really shitty. And
your why was gone. Like,
totally.
Your why was the validation.
There was no more way. Because my whole entire mission at the time was I was going to do my time in group. I was going to at least make 8, and then I was going to take the long walk. I was going to go and try out for CAG.
Yeah.
You know, or Commander's Action Group or whatever, Delta Force, whatever the like fancy, sexy name for it is now.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do, because that was just another form of validation. I was like, once I got into group, I'm like, wait. And this is actually in the Q course, guys start planning out their entire career, right? And so then I hear about CAG and Delta Force, and I'm like, wait, like they're on Bragg too? They're like, yeah, you run by it all the time, but you'll never hear anything about it. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, so internally I'm like, oh, there's even further validation. Like I can get more validation. Like just being a Green Beret it wasn't enough. So like then it's like, I'm going to do that. And so obviously all that's taken away before I actually get to do what I thought I was going to get to do. And then it was really painful. Now, come full circle, I realized that I was designed for service. It's just not that service. Like I'm serving in a totally different capacity today. And I feel like I'm serving more in the way that God actually intended on me in serving, right? So what felt like robbery was actually safety and security. It was protection and it was overwatch. And it was like, I'm going to stop you from doing something because we all have free will. And so I feel like it was a moment where I was just redirected.
Yeah.
But it took me years of heartache. It took me running my marriage into the ground. It took me not connecting with my children. It took me stealing money. It took me trying to fill that empty space that was in my heart with stuff. And when you do that, you never hear it hit the bottom, right? And my mentor said, you know, the only thing that you're ever going to put in that blank space in your heart that you'll ever hear it go, Tink, is scripture. And I'm like, you know, that's so ridiculous. Like, that's such bullshit. You know, because my whole life when I looked at church guys and I looked at church people, they had horrible marriages. I looked at my dad. My dad was a church guy. Gave a ton of money to our church. Always showed up, was always there on Sunday, always waving his hand around, singing. And I'm like, this is such bullshit, you know?
Well, it seems, it's like a bunch of hypocrites.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And so when my mentor, and I don't know, do you know Bill Mason?
Yeah, I've met Bill. Because I went to a couple of Bible studies.
You went to a couple studies.
You were at, yeah.
And Bill is abrasive. He's biblically abrasive.
Yeah.
That's the way that I would describe him for 9 years, or now, 10 years. I've known him for about 12 years. 9 years, I would describe him as biblically abrasive. And for the last 3 years, I would describe him as a guy he was the only guy in my life that had the backbone that he was so confident in who he was in Christ to look at me and be like, you're wrong. I don't care what you say. You're wrong. And I hated that. I despised that. You know, because I don't know about you, Eddie, but like guys in the team rooms and guys in group, like nobody has the balls for that. Rarely. Nobody has the guts to like look you in the eye and be like, hey man, you're wrong. You're really wrong.
Yeah. Cause they don't, there are some guys, I had some guys in my platoons that were like big Christians, and they would do it in a way, some would be like, no, man, that's not right. And this is what's right? But then you have if you speak out like that and the group doesn't like it.
You're a target. You have a target on your back.
Now you're on, you're no longer at the table, you're on the menu.
Right.
And you're
because
like,
what happens if we're in the country, right? And special operators are designed to work in the gray area, right? And I have no problem doing that. I really don't, right? Be in the world, not of the world.
Yeah.
So, but guys' perception, if it's like, hey man, I love the Lord. I don't know what to tell you. Like what you're doing is wrong. Like you're married and you're sleeping with a chick in country. Like that's wrong. Right?
Yeah. And that's where I was getting at, where it's, if guys speak out and start, and there's nothing wrong. Like, it's like, dude, you know what you're doing is wrong, which is why you're getting so mad that I'm pointing it out. So, but you do run that risk of, because if you're like, hey, what you're doing is wrong, well, guess what? There's probably 8 other dudes that are doing the same thing.
100%.
So now they're going to turn on you.
They have to get you out.
Yeah, they're like, this guy's a problem.
You're a cancer that has to get cut out, which is really the unhealthy mentality behind special operations, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's also, that's set by leadership as well.
It's a toxic culture.
It can be, yeah. And I did 9 different platoons, and each one had its own flavor. I did platoons where guys were all on the same page as far as like, hey, we're married, whatever, and we're not going to do those things. But then I was also in platoons where it was the opposite, where it was like everybody was just, doing what they wanted, running amok. It's just different as far as like, so when I took over a platoon, that was one of the first briefs I gave, and I told them, I was like, listen, man, we're all grown men. Like, you do what you want to do, right? We go on trips. We're gone from home 90% of the year. I'm like, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts right now on when we go on trips. If you're married and you're out banging, hookers or strippers or whatever, that's your decision. I don't do that. I was like, the saying in the teams is, drink, fuck, fight. It's like, no, I don't. I'm married. I love my wife. I drink and fight. I'll do that all day long.
Sure.
But I was like, the way I told them, I was like, if you cheat on your wife when we're on trips or doing whatever, you swore an oath to your wife when you married her. That is an oath to God that, like, hey, till death do us part, all the stuff. And if you can't keep that oath to your woman, then how can I trust you that you're going to take a bullet for me? Even you can say it all day long. Oh yeah, dude, I'd die for you. I'm like, well, you've already proven to me that you can't, you can't stick with, an oath, or
you can't even
one person.
You guys are not who they say they are. That's the truth.
And and at the end of the day, there are dudes, and believe me, there are dudes also that are, that have infidelity that I know would take a bullet for me. Like,
sure.
That doesn't mean that they won't.
Sure.
But it just definitely, I was like, it puts a question in my mind,
yeah.
which I don't want to have that, right? But at the end of the day, I told him, I was like, you're grown men. I'm not going to judge you. Like, that's not for me to judge. But I told him, I was like, as soon as it starts causing a problem within the platoon, like if your wife finds out or all this drama starts happening, you're gone, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we can't have that.
Yeah, so, and on the flip side of that, right, you would say, well, if you can't even keep the commitment to your wife, how can you keep the commitment to me? And they are thinking, like, you're gonna call me out on this. Like, what about all the other shit that we have to do? What about all the other stuff that if this gets out, like, we're all smoked.
Yeah.
Like, we're all in trouble, right? And that's where that, like, and I, my idea on it all comes from a jaded standpoint, but I know many guys that are just stand-up dudes.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Tons of them.
Rock stars. Like, Rick Minshew is a guy who is more battle-tested than anybody I know, loves the Lord more than anybody I know. This guy does human trafficking interdiction all over the world, like a lion for Christ. He was in group. He was unfazed by a lot of the stuff that went on. He quietly tried to help guys out. And Assisi wrote a long time ago, preach the gospel at all times, and if you must, use words, right? Rick Minshew lived the life. Like, you could just watch him walk and interact with somebody, and you knew that he was different. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I want to live my life now, right? I don't like thump people over the head with the Bible. Like, I talk about it openly on social media, but the truth of the matter is, like, if I interact with you, I'm not like screaming on the mountaintop about how amazing Jesus is. What I am doing is I'm serving my wife. You're going to watch me interact with my wife, and you're going to know, like, who I am. You're going to see me interact with my children, and you're going to know that there's something different. There's going to be a situation where it's not going to be it's you and me, bro, unless it's you or me. It's going to be you and me. Like, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm in it with you, right? I'm not better than you. I'm with you.
Yeah, you can't say you're better than anybody either, because you've been through
I'm still going through
a bunch of shit to get to the point where you're at right now. You already said, it's like, dude, I stumbled, I did all these things, and it's brought me to where I'm at now.
Yep.
And that's the same as you have to view everybody else. It's like, yeah, you don't want to like thump them over the head and be like, you have to do this and this. But if you lead by example, people will see that and be like, okay, there's something going on with that guy. Why is he so happy all the time? Or why is his life so put together in a way that mine's not?
And they'll ask.
Yeah, and that's fine. And then you answer like, dude, this is what
Absolutely.
It's not me. It's Jesus.
That's
right?
the green light go, baby.
Yeah.
Like, when somebody comes across my path and they're like, dude, why are you the way you are? That to me is like, I'm standing on the back of that Casa 212, the light's green, and I'm jumping. Like, I'm gonna tell you. You asked, I'm telling you. Yeah. All right, here we go.
There's a good principle in AA in the 12-step programs that talks about attraction rather than promotion. And I think of the same thing. It's attraction.
Yeah.
You're attracting it.
Yeah, that was honestly. Go ahead.
What got you to that place? You mentioned marriage a couple times. What happened through that time?
So what got me to the place that I am now is completely different than my marriage. So great story about my wife and I. It was like when I was going through the med board process, and a lot of my like best friends were just ditching me. It was just like, you're not a team guy anymore. You're retiring.
Well,
like,
you're no longer on the
You're
train.
no longer on the train. They just kind of dropped me off, which was like, I found myself at 30 going like, holy shit, like life just doesn't change. It really doesn't change. You know, my mom dropped me off when I was 7 and was like, I'm done. And fast forward to now, like group just dropped me off on the doorstep and they're like, well, we're done with you too. So I was just really broken. And Brandon Graves told me, hey, I got a guy you need to meet. His name's Teddy. Super cool dude. He's an Air Force guy, so he's, you know, kind of gay. But
I know Teddy.
Yeah. Teddy's
he's awesome.
Amazing, salt of the earth human being.
Yeah.
So we meet for Chipotle, and that's Teddy's thing. That's Bill's thing. Like if you'll meet me for a meal, like we'll figure this out, right? So Teddy starts dropping on me like why he is the way that he is, and I was like, that's cool, you know. I was ready. I was like starting to search for trying to make my way back to Christ, like my way though, like figuring out for myself, not just for validation.
Hey, what's up, guys? So when I'm not doing the podcast, I'm doing a lot of traveling. I put on training all over the country for LE and civilians. I also travel a lot for my nonprofit, the Pipe Hitter Foundation. And as you guys know, travel, going back and forth can wear you down. But this past year, I have found the antidote. So let me put you on to Aquavita, Destin's premier IV therapy and oxygen bar. This place is owned and operated by a board-certified ER physician with over 23 years of experience, so you know your health is in good hands. Every IV drip is mixed to board of pharmacy standards and backed by CDC-level infection control. Whether you're dealing with a fatigue, a hangover, jet lag, stress, immunity issues, or even PMS, they've got custom vitamin drips and boosters tailored just for that. When you go inside, the place is pretty awesome. It puts you at ease right when you go in there. They have comfy lounge chairs, which are perfect for singles or couples, full group sessions. And you can even book the whole space for bachelor or bachelorette parties, race day recovery, or wellness events. While you're in there, they go the extra mile too. They'll give you blankets, sleep masks, earplugs, aromatherapy oxygen, all complimentary. And the best part, every visit includes direct care from the physician and experienced RNs, all focused on fast, safe, and affordable wellness. So if you're in the Destin area, hit up Aquavita. Your body will definitely thank you.
And so I really started like trying to figure it out. But I was dating my wife at the time, and she's much younger than me. She's 8 years younger than me. And so she was 21 and I was 30. So that age gap is significantly different, right? We're at different places in our lives.
That's a whole generation.
So it was pretty tumultuous. She was an IFBB professional athlete, you know, doing competitions. And I was like, why can't we like go to the bar with some buddies and hang out? She's like, well, I don't do that. So it was, among other things, my family, you know, my sister didn't really approve. And since my mom, my sister became my best friend and like a mother figure to me. So I was always seeking validation from her too. Mm-hmm. She thought I should marry some chick from like the Tridelt house. And I'm like, I like this girl, you know? Yeah. So it was rocky. But Teddy, so I'm seeking the Lord. I'm trying to figure this all out. And Teddy says, I'm getting close to leaving this area. And I thought that was the best thing for me because I could separate from Jade. I can make the break cleanly, move on with my life. And Teddy was like, hey man, I'm going to throw something out to you. You should fast. And I was like, fast? I eat like every hour. Like, what are you talking about? I can't fast. He's like, no, I really encourage you. Cause I was really trying to find out, like, I was really for once in my life trying to do the right thing. I'm like, what does God want me to do? Right. With my relationship with Jade, is she who I'm supposed to marry? Cause I was so torn about this. So I take his advice. I fast. He picks me up late that night and takes me to Five Guys. Right. And we're sitting there. And this is about 5 days before I'm about to leave. And, Jade and I were split up at the time, and he says to me, I said, you know, I'm eating this burger. I hadn't eaten all day. And every time I got hungry, he told me to pray. So I tried that, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're eating at Five Guys, and he's like, so what do you think about today? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought a lot about what Jade was doing. And he said, that's interesting. I said, why is it interesting? Do you know? And he's like, I know what she was doing. And I'm like, what was she doing? He said, she was fasting for you. And it was like, this, like, when I talk about my wife, it's probably the only time I'll get emotional, because here I was like trying to run away from her on to like bigger and better things. And this girl, this young girl, a 21-year-old girl, was like fasting for me. She knew that I would be fasting, because Lupe, Teddy's wife, ministers the same way, right? And so she met with Lupe, and she said, you know, she encouraged, she said, you know what, if you want the best for Adam, you should fast, and every time you get hungry, you should pray for Adam. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh my God, like, how amazing.
Yeah.
How, like, I'm ready to walk away from a woman that's like a 21-year-old woman who's fasting for me. And that was the day I swore I'd never leave her. Like, that was it. Like, I was gonna take her with me. So we moved to Jacksonville. Shortly after that, found out we were pregnant, because Teddy prayed that I would get her pregnant, because I wouldn't make a decision on marrying her still after all of that. And that was really, man, the beginning of the downfall, because I had no good example of what a father was. I had no good example of what a husband was. You know, I was still trying to figure out the being or losing validation from group and who I was. Like, my identity was gone, and I was a medical device sales rep. Like, oh, you know, like, damn. And I abused my relationship with my wife in that I lost my purpose. I didn't realize that I'm not here for me. I had no idea. I didn't serve my wife. I had such a disconnect with my son Maverick that I'm still working to recover that. You know, the first 5 years of my son's life, I was an empty shell, like, just not there, not present. You know, I tried when I was leaving, and the story I just told, I was trying to find my way to Christ. And once things got hard for me, I was like, this is total bullshit. Like, I'll figure it out. You know, I was drinking, drugs, porn, unhealthy addictions, gambling money I didn't have, buying shit to impress people, spending money that I didn't have to buy things that I thought would make people that I didn't even know respect me. Like, think of the just backwards ideology that it takes to do those types of things, right? And you know, I just ran my marriage into the ground, and my wife suffered in silence. She suffered in silence, and I spent the better part of those years telling people, like, my wife doesn't love me, doesn't respect me, we don't have sex, like, she doesn't. Never once pausing for a moment, looking myself in the mirror. And, like, when I say look yourself in the mirror, I mean, like, look behind your eyes. Like, look in the mirror straight through yourself and ask yourself, what would my wife respect about what I'm doing right now? Why would my wife want to be intimate with me? Why would she trust me? And that got me right over here on Exuma Way in an apartment by myself with nothing. I was sitting there with a pistol that one of the many pistols that I had bought because I wanted cool things, and with money I didn't have. And I jammed it in my mouth, and I was like, it's over. Like, I'm done with this. I can't do this, you know?
What made you stop?
I think part of it was my ego was like, you're gonna let him win. Like, everything that everybody said about you, about the waste of time, talent, space, and life that you were, if I pull the trigger right now, they're right. They're right. And who's left to deal with that? You know, my son?
Yeah.
My daughter? You know, what kind of second and third order, like, it was like one of the brief moments of my life where I actually had the foresight to think about, like, this unintended consequences
you got
of
clarity
one decision.
about the situation.
Yeah, it was like I saw my daughter being walked down the aisle by, like, maybe her brother. I saw my son, like, struggling with who he was because he never had anybody standing next to him being like, this is who you are, Bubba. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but when you have nothing left, like finally God can go to work. Like he can finally be like, are you like, you're done? Are you done with this? Because I have a life for you that'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. If you can just seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. You know, when I first read Matthew 6:33, I thought like, oh, all these cool things that I want will be given to me. And it's not true. It's my heart posture changed. Like the things that I started desiring changed. And God was like, hey, yeah, you want that? I'll give it to you. You want a voice? You want people to hear what you have to say? I'll make that happen. You want people to respect you? Like, walk with me. They will. They'll start asking you questions. So it was just in a moment of like total brokenness that I knew I didn't want that, right? To kind of quickly move through the story, my wife and I reconciled. That's not where my bad behavior stopped. We reconciled. We moved we bought the house of our dreams, total God thing. But I never fixed the problem, right? I identified that I didn't want to live that life anymore, but I never fixed the problem. Kept spending money recklessly, and my wife found out about it again. And it was basically like an intervention where it was like, I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna take our kids, and like that's it. We're gonna be done. And that was October of 22-ish time frame. And my birthday was October 4th. October 5th, Brandon asked me to go to lunch. Bill was there. And Bill for 10 years said, hey, does it hurt when you touch a hot stove? Like, don't touch that stove. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But that stove feels so good. I just want to touch it again. And he's like, listen, here's the deal. I'll help you. I'll do this with you. I don't have to. And frankly, I don't want to, because you haven't shown me any reason why I should do this. But if you'll commit to reading scripture every day, text me what you read. And if you don't understand it, I'll talk to you about it. October 5th, 2022, I cracked open Psalm 1. It's not been a day that's gone in my life that I haven't read scripture intentionally. And I don't mean like just on the Bible app. Like, I mean, I sit with Christ. Like, I ask him to speak to me. I read the word. I highlight things that I think are important. I write notes. I journal about what it is that I read and how it made me feel. And then I pray. And usually that's anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half of my day that I spend intentionally with Christ. And it's radically changed my life forever. It's just changed. This is not, like a paperweight, or it's not like something you put on your bookshelf to like have behind you when you do a podcast and like people can see like, oh, he's got his Bible, like he's squared away. This is a weapon. It cuts sharper than a double-edged sword. This is your field manual. This is it. Like, the war's at home. I try and tell men, like, the war's at home, especially soldiers, like especially operators. I'm like, hey man, like the war's not overseas anymore. It's like, it's on our doorstep. It's in your home.
Yeah.
The enemy's coming for you, your marriage, your kids, everything. So would you ever leave the wire without a primary, an alternate, a contingency? Like, you would never do that. Like, this is all of it. Carry this around, man. Like, read it, apply it, and don't just have it, but like live it. And that was what Bill and Teddy, two men, finally showed up in my life that were who they said they were. Their video and their audio matched. Like, so often men, we have it backwards. Like, we just say a lot of shit and we do very little. We don't do a lot. And it was the first time in my life where I looked at two guys, and I didn't look at like their cars or the houses or any money, and neither of them have any of those things. I mean, Teddy maybe more so than Bill, but what I looked at was I would watch when Teddy opened his mouth, what did Lupe's face look like? And I was like, fuck. I want that. Like total respect and adoration for whatever was coming out of Teddy's mouth. That woman was like glowing watching him. Mm-hmm. Anna Mason, if Bill went home right now and told Anna, like, they're about to buy their dream house, right? And if he said, God spoke to me and we're moving to Zimbabwe tomorrow, she'd be like, all right. Okay. Like, you know what kind of trust that takes in a woman? Women want to be led. They're designed to be led. Most women, though, now, marriages are so contentious because women have to do the job of the man and the woman, while men just flounder and flop around on the deck of the boat wondering why we can't breathe. It's like, you're out of water. Like, you're all dicked up, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, your wife doesn't want, she doesn't follow you. Like, maybe your leadership style sucks. Like, maybe you're not trustworthy. Maybe you're not a calm in total chaos. My wife said something recently, and I know
maybe you're not being led. I mean, that's really what you're saying. You're not being led by the Lord.
I wasn't being led. And if left to our own devices, like we're like, let's be honest, man, like we're gonna mess it up. Like if it's just me, like if I'm just here on earth and like I have to figure it out, like I have 37 years to show you what that looks like. And it's a catastrophic train wreck. It's horrible. I don't wish that on anybody, right? I don't wish a woman to look back at a husband and I could just see it in her. She was like so saddened by what she saw could have been just like withering away. And she was probably really pissed that she had bet on that, and her bet she wasn't getting the return on the investment. Yeah. You know, you give somebody $1 million in a business deal today and like they just take it and run, like you're like, damn, like that's like life changing. Like my life is changing. Well, her life was changing because of decisions that I was making, man. And guys ask me all the time, you know, so here's the truth. Fast forward right now. Most people ask me, how'd you get your following? How did this all happen, right? And the truth is that I went dark on social media for 30 days a couple years ago. I was like, I'm going to take a mental break and figure out my life. You know, my dad at the time, we had started a company and I was going my separate ways. It wasn't working out for many reasons. And I was left to think about like, well, now what am I going to do? Like, I'm lost again. Like, where's my purpose and place? Went dark on social media for 30 days. In that 30 days, found out one of my dearest friends from the Q course had lost his life to a liver disease. He got rhabdo real bad in the Q course, and then the military doctors misdiagnosed him, and it cost him his life.
Surprise, surprise.
Right? And I jumped back on social media to see his mother post a photo of him that looked very strange. Like, why? This is an odd photo. So I start reading the description, and it's his obituary. And I had no contact with him because I didn't have social media going. And he stopped calling me because I was still living a life that was for me. Like, you know, Matt didn't have anything to offer me at that point. And in fact, our conversations were so long-winded that I just didn't have the time for it anymore. And so I would ignore his phone call and he stopped calling me. So that's why and then I got a new number. So his mother couldn't reach out to me, nothing. So I find out that my dear friend passes away that way. And I remembered being in my garage one day and I'm like, God, this is the very beginning of me reading scripture every day. I was like, God, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I posted something very candidly on social media about my Instagram page. And if you're looking for a dude's fitness page that doesn't talk about Jesus, like, this isn't it. I'm going to tell you what I think is starting to change my life. Instant virality. And that's it. And now you could say that that's just happenstance, that the algorithm just picked up on something at the right time, and that is what it is. And you'd probably be right about that. I choose to believe that once I picked this up and I read Mark 10:45 and it said, for even the Son of Man came not to serve, or not to be served, but to serve and lay his life down as a ransom for many. I was like, oh my God, the creator of the universe showed up here as a man, and he instantly could have conquered earth just like that. He could have totally done that, and we would have deserved that, the wrath and everything that would have come from that. And instead he washed feet. I'm like, man, I got this wrong. I got life wrong. Mm-hmm. I just want to serve people, starting with my wife, starting with my kids, what can I control? I can control myself and my four walls. And upon doing that, God gave me a following. He gave me, because of that authenticity, that search for something greater than myself, he gave me a ton of men. Thousands of men reach out to me, and all I have to offer them is that I picked up the Bible, I started reading it every day, and it'll change your life radically. I mean, there are prominent atheists that read the Bible to disprove it and write papers on it to disprove what it said, and now they're warriors for Christ, because that's what it'll do. And so now I get an opportunity to just share that with guys. Like, you're not here for you. You're not here. If there's a dude out here right now listening to this podcast, and you're trying to figure out, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what am I here for? How did my marriage get here? Read Mark 10:45 and understand the depths of what that means. Understand the depths of what it means that God showed up here and didn't make life about God. That is a life verse. And so I read that often, and I pray like Bill does, that I'd have the strength in my 80s that I do in my 40s, so that I can always go into the mountain and fight giants, because they're always going to be there.
Yep.
Right? November of 22, I stopped watching pornography. Haven't watched a single stitch of pornography since then. I haven't had a drop of alcohol since then. I do have the occasional more than occasional left-handed cigarette. To be truthful, when I have a left-handed cigarette and I sit with my scripture and I read, I spiritually connect in a place that I don't know that I would allow myself mentally to go.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that. I mean, weed affects people differently.
It does.
And it's like, for some, they can smoke it and be more in touch with themselves, and sort of all that other worldly anxiety and all that stuff sort of goes out the window, where others, it induces all the worldly stuff, anxiety. So it's, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but sure. I smoke it as well. Yep. And that's what it does for me. Like, when I do, is I can actually be more intentional about what I'm reading out of, and I don't smoke before I read the Bible, but when I do other things, it's like, when I interact with people, I'm more empathetic. Mm-hmm. I'm able to think about them and not be thinking about myself or the problems that I have going on.
Yeah, and
Eddie does cocaine before he reads the Bible.
That's how he's read it so fast. Yeah, he's read the Bible like 170 times.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kidding. Every day.
Yeah, and listen, we can joke around about it. I know that there are people, and Eddie, we talked a little bit about before we started. There's there are people that are going to hear that and they're going to crush me, and and that's fine. The truth is that I don't have to do that to connect. What it does, though, because that makes the flower the actual thing. And the truth is, it's my heart posture.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that, wow, wait, there's, not to get too deep, but I'm really interested in time and space and the universe. And I feel like once I do indulge in that, my mind slows down a little bit, and it allows me to be in a posture of this is just a lot bigger than me. Oh. Right? I'm not just in my garage, hanging out with my buddies. I'm I'll do it before a workout. And then what happens is I have a great workout, and then all I want to do is read scripture. So it's not something that I do. I'm I have to do this before I read scripture. Yeah. Otherwise I'm not going to get anything. I do it, before a workout. I have a great intense workout. And then all I want to do is sit and hear from Christ. And this is where you hear from God. So many dudes are I don't hear from God. I'm what are you reading in scripture right now? I'm not. So what kind of twisted transactional relationship do you have with the creator of the universe that like you think that you're just gonna just talk to him and he's gonna speak to you, and you're not, you have to connect. Like this is connectivity. This is like how you plug in. And however it takes you to get to this space, man, I'm all for it. Like whatever. Yeah. You know, get in the word. That's all I tell dudes. And I coach men now. And like, I mean, I say that I coach them. I've really encouraged men to read scripture and then let's talk about what that makes you feel like. And usually that's how we start cracking open a lot of the what and why behind where they are in life, right? But it all comes back to that. It's
how does that work? How do they reach out to you? Or is it
Instagram?
They just direct message you?
Yeah. So on you know, I've gotten a little more savvy with social media. Before it was just like post it and like stick it out there, whatever, we'll figure it out. Now, you know, I'm a little more savvy. I'll put like something that'll say like, hey, comment brotherhood, and I'll send you a link. Bill and I started Signal group chats that I did not know this, but they max out at 1,000 guys. And like that happened 3 times. And so I'm like, I can't keep making Signal chats. I can't eventually post like the same thing 10 different times, right? In all these chats. So we started a school, which is called the Brotherhood. And we have some like interactive material on there. Basically, it's a community of men that are all have taken the first step to say like, hey, I want a community, right? Because I haven't mentioned that, but that's supremely important. I had a community of men, and listen, I love these guys. I love these dudes. But when I was going through my divorce, I had a friend of mine offer to pay for my divorce. And it wasn't because he's a bad guy. It was because he was doing the best that he could for me. And Brandon and Teddy looked at me one day and they were like, you need to go home. That's what you need to do. Like, you need to go home and figure this out. So my community changed. Like, I don't have all the same friends. I love dudes that I'm not friends with anymore. But like, community is so crucial. So I'm surrounded by men that they are who they say they are. And if they're not, somebody, one of us is going to figure that out.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have a lot of passive friends. So I don't know where we were talking about, but the communities, that's the Brotherhood. It's a community. So guys are like connecting. I mean, there's guys that we'll do a roll call and we'll be like, hey, just drop where you are. And it'll be like, I'm in Syracuse, New York. And like 4 dudes will be like, I'm in Syracuse, New York. And then now they're meeting. Now they're meeting in a coffee shop and they're talking about like their lives and their marriages and their walks with Christ, and they're doing Bible studies. Like, how incredible is that, right? We host a live Bible study every Friday morning at 6:30. We always cycle through the gospel. I host a weekly call just to check in with guys. Like, it's a total mass group call. Anybody can get on it. And then I do from there, if guys want, and that's all free. So none of that is paid. If guys want one-on-one coaching, they can sign up with Bill and I, and we do one-on-one coaching. Okay. So that's where a lot of like the guys that I help now, that's where they come from. But it all stems from Instagram, man. Social media can be a totally wicked, vapid place.
It can also be used for good.
It can be also. It can also be used for good.
It's a tool, and that's really what it is. It's like
totally.
It depends on how you use it. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. That's awesome that what you guys are doing. I think that's real. I love that whole brotherhood idea, and then getting people to connect from all over the country.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth.
How much of your coaching is around marriages? Like, is a lot of it?
100%.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't coach a guy today that isn't married. Not to say that I wouldn't, because I also wasn't married for a while, and I walked that walk. And truthfully, whether you're married or not, whether you're a young man in high school or you're an 80-year-old man now alone, life is still not about you. No. It doesn't change. The quicker one of my passion projects is speaking to young men, high school aged men, you know, because I have an 8-year-old son. So these high school aged men are going to be leaders leading my son, and I'll be damned if someone's not going to get a hold of these guys and preach to them, hey, it's not about you and you don't have time. So figure that out, right? It's not about you. You don't have time. I thought for the longest time, I got time to figure this out until I didn't have time to figure it out, until I had a pistol in my mouth, right? You don't have time. You have like seconds, if that. And so if I can stop guys from getting to that, man, like what a crime it would be for me to walk through all of this, have God reach me the way that he has, and then share it with nobody. Like, how selfish.
Well, that's a waste.
What a waste.
That's a waste of going through adversity and overcoming it and finding yourself in a space where you're like, dude, this is what I wanted, and then not passing that on. Like, hey, this is how I got through this adversity. That is just a complete and utter waste of your efforts, your energy, your experience, your wisdom. It's
100%.
Like, what are you going to keep that to yourself? Like,
There's an old Chinese proverb that says, if you want to know the way ahead, ask those coming back. Right? Like, I was one of those dudes that wanted to know the way ahead, and I was lucky enough that there were two men bold enough, confident enough in who they were in Christ to say, if you want to know the way, I'll tell you. But you have to do that.
Yeah.
I could tell you, and then you can continue to do what you're doing, but you're going to be in the same position. So I heard that on Ed Milet. He said that, and that really stuck with me, because now I live my life. You know, there's a lot of scars. There's a lot of embarrassment. There's a lot of ego about my military career, my service, my college football career, and the lack of playing, that, and my family life, and maybe some secrets that I wouldn't want out that I could hide from, and I could keep this to myself. And I could just be thankful enough that the God of the universe saved me, and just go away, live my life, serve my wife and kids. I'd be like the Israelites that got taken out of Egypt, crossed the Red Sea, and then stayed right where they were because they were too afraid to go across the other side of the mountain and fight giant people, even though God said, I'll be with you. So, and the Israelites, they probably thought they were covered. They probably thought they had manna, they had food, they had water, they had shelter, and they thought they were living a good life. I could do that. But thankfully, God gave me the emotional DNA where I'll take it on the chin. If somebody wants to trash me for my lack of military service or my stories I told of college football that I never played, like, got it,
I think most people don't necessarily care. I think most people just value value honesty.
Yes, I think that is, and we were talking about that before, right?
Yeah.
Is once you put yourself out there, and what you're doing now, posting on social media about being transparent about everything you've been through, you are going to have those people that they'll throw something negative in there. That's not about you. That's about them.
For sure.
What they're going on, they're just projecting of whatever's bullshit is going on in their life. They're like, oh, this guy is just like me, or like, you're like this. And the sad reality is, and this is, you can have 1,000 good comments and have that one negative one. Mm-hmm. And it's our human nature just to reflect on that one negative, like, why is this person, saying this, and overlooking all of the good that you do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would say going forward. And it does. It's like people say, oh, don't read the comments, or just don't let it bother you. It bothers everybody. I don't care who you are, how famous you are bothered by negative comments. But what you have to really practice is look at all the good that I'm doing. That negative stuff, it's like, great, man. That's your issue. I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing and affecting everybody else in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I feel like that was kind of the conversation that I had with God. And, he's like, listen, I've got a big job for you, but it might suck at times. I'm like, do you trust me? And for the first time in my life, I trust somebody that I can't see. Imagine saying that. Like, I can't physically, and I can't physically see God. But here's the thing: when I remember, and I'll kind of close with this because I know we're up against the clock. I remember sitting at my counter about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I was like smack in the middle of my transformation process and reading scripture every day. And for me, I read in Psalms because I identified with David. I'm a David guy, right? And I remember being like, God, so everybody in my house was sick. Everybody was sleeping early, and I had time on my hands. And I'm like, do I play a little Xbox? Maybe. I mean, I really don't have anything else going on right now. And I felt a ping, like, why don't you just grab your Bible? Why don't you just sit with me for a little bit? Why don't we just talk? So I grab my Bible. I'm like, great idea. Let's do it. I start reading some scripture. I start praying. And I remembered saying to God, I said, God, like, I'm beginning to understand who you are. And the more I understand who you are, the more I want to touch you. Like, the more I want to, like, physically, like, touch you. I want to touch just your robe if I could. I want to just feel you. And he said, I love that about you. I love your heart. And I'm telling you, this is a full-on conversation I had with God. And I did not have a left-handed cigarette, for the record. Okay. And this was one of 2 times that God, I feel like, has spoken directly to me. And he said, Adam, I love your heart. He said, do you want to touch me? And I said, yes. He said, when your kids wake up, grab your kids.
Boom.
He's like, you want to touch me? Man, touch your kids. I'm there. I'm them. I'm in them. He said, look at your son's eyes. Look into his eyes. And it was like the most powerful thing I think I've ever heard in my life. And the beauty of that is that it wasn't about me. He didn't say anything. He didn't share with me about how great I was or how awesome I am. And he could have, and he feels that way. But I asked to touch him, and he said, sure, I can make that happen. Watch. When your kids wake up tomorrow and your son peeks his goofy little smile around the corner, grab him, and you're going to feel me in a way you never have. When your daughter wakes up and she smiles at you and says, Daddy, you're going to feel me in a way that will overwhelm you. I promise you, trust me. The next morning, they woke up and they came around the corner, man, and I was like, how could I have missed this? How could I have let myself get to a point where I missed this? And so now, no, I can't see God, but what I can hear are birds. What I can see is the ocean. I can breathe. I have peace. I'm not so anxious all the time. I have children that love the Lord. My son, everywhere we go, we have the fortunate lifestyle to travel quite a bit. And every Uber we get in, every bus we get on, he says, do you love Jesus? To the guy next to me. Like, what did I do to deserve that? And that's God's way of reminding me that I am with you all the time. If your son's around or your daughter's around, I, the creator of the universe, am right there. And you can touch me anytime. And it's changed, brother, I'm telling you, I thought that I lost an opportunity to connect with my children because when they were young and those formative moments are supposed to happen, I was lost in the sauce. And God was like, man, I'm going to remind you of how kind I am. And so that's it, man. I want more men to look at their children in that way. I want more men to look at their wives in that way. Like, God gave me life, but my wife saved my life. Because she expected and demanded that I become who I was created to be. She forced me. She forced my hand. And I owe my life to her and to maybe a few select dudes like Teddy and Bill. But
that's incredible, man.
Yeah,
I mean, God puts women in our lives, and we're very blessed to have them. I know all of us at this table we have the same feeling. Those women are put in our lives to keep us alive, I think.
Like what you went through, bro, in that prison cell, and for your wife, I remember, man, like 2020 was a wild time, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like, holy shit. When we look back on it, it's like, what the hell was that? What did we just go through? And I remembered like Trump leaving, and your story was just a big topic. And I'd see your fiercely loyal wife like on the front lines. And it's like, so I can only imagine for you in your life when you come across situations where you can take the hard right or the easy left, like you'll be damned. I bet you, and I don't know this and we haven't spoken about this, but I bet you could, before you're going to go do something stupid, you can close your eyes and see your wife standing on the front lines taking heat round after heat round for you.
Yeah.
And being like, there's nothing worth it. There's nothing worth it. Nothing.
There's not at
and
all.
Same for you, man. Your story and where you came from, like, you get to a place where, man, you just recognize what your wife is there for and what she's put up with.
We all have pretty strong, faithful.
Yeah. And any woman who suffers with you
life.
and stays with you at your lowest point and helps you get through that deserves all of your, like, attention, deserves all of your loyalty.
All the
I mean,
ickies and
she not
lickies.
deserves it.
All the lickies and chewies.
She's earned it.
She deserves
She's earned it.
the master halo jumper and the President's 100 and the long tab and all that. And you know the truth, and I really try and stress this, right? Not only does she deserve the best version of you and your children deserve the best version of you, but you deserve the best version of you.
Exactly.
I deserve, there's not many things that I deserve, but the man that Christ designed me to be, I feel like he felt like I deserve to live that life. And I'm living it now. My life is, dude, what is it? Wednesday, middle of the day. And I am here with you guys.
Oh.
I'm not traveling around selling some medical device equipment. I'm not stuck in a team room doing an inventory on shit that I've inventoried 1,000 times before just because somebody wants to get a good OER bullet. Like I live free, man. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I live free. We touched on it already. We live in the reddest county, I think, in America.
Yeah.
I'm free to speak my thoughts. I'm free. I have a platform I'm trusted with a platform to speak the truth about how you can live this way. It's not about me, but it's on me. But
even more than that, we're freedom
in our heart, man.
Yeah.
Inside here, like I don't toil with validation. It creeps up on me every now and again. Don't get me wrong.
No, society, the devil will get in there.
He will. And his voice, he knows scripture. He knows everything he needs to know to get to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting here proclaiming that I've got it all figured out. I've got some of it figured out. And I'm moving in a direction of figuring it all out. I truly believe that. I look at a guy like Bill Mason and I think 35 years in ministry, he's figured it out. Like, he's figured it out. Doesn't mean he doesn't wrestle and toil with stuff. So that will always be the case. I don't have to feel like God's abandoned me if I'm struggling with wanting to buy something to fulfill some space in my heart. The difference is that I can pray and say, hey, God, can you just right now in this moment remind me of who you say that I am, right? Not what this thing will do for me, but like, who do you say that I am? Sometimes I'll get caught up still in the moment of like, I don't deserve this. And I think, wait a second. Jamie Winship's book, Living Fearless, says, practice this. What would Jesus say about you? Would he agree with you? I don't think so. So I got to stop and think. I just tactically pause, slow down, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? Slow down, ask God to remind me of who I am. And then he does, because he is who he says he is. So he reminds me, hey, Bubba, like, you don't need that. Like, take a look around. Just remember, like, look what you have.
Yep.
Look at the life you live. You got it good. You don't need that. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I don't need that. I don't need that. So
that's awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Dude, where can people find you on Instagram?
At Adam_Tyler_free on Instagram.
We'll put that at the bottom here when this
Awesome.
comes out.
Awesome.
And then
Thank
is there
you.
any other platforms that people can
No other platforms.
find you on?
No, I mean, I'm even though I was an Echo, I'm supposed to be a tech guy. Like the computer just like I can't. I have to like ask 10-year-olds how to like do stuff.
I'm the same way.
So Instagram is it. That's where you can find me. But my Brotherhood link, and it's free. So anybody listening to this that wants to get plugged into a community, wants to meet like-minded guys, all kind of pushing in the same direction, you can find that link in my Instagram bio, or any single reel that I've ever posted, any bit of social media I've posted, you can just comment Brotherhood and you'll get the link sent to you. That is one thing that I have moderately figured out is automation.
Small strides.
Unless somebody says, hey brother, I like your shoes, and it says brother, and then all of a sudden they get like a link to the Brotherhood, and I'm like, hey, sorry, automation sucks sometimes, but like.
That's also a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, that's where that's where you can find me. And or if you're ever in Santa Rosa Beach, DM me, and I've got an amazing garage gym that I am blessed to work out in. We can read scripture. I don't really care. I have a lot of time. I coach men, but I have a lot of time freedom. And if I'm not with my kids or my wife, then I am happy to sit in front of somebody that says, bro, I see your life and I want that life. And it's not because of what you have, it's because of who you are.
Yeah.
Then I want to spend time with those guys.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, this was an impactful interview, man, or like
awesome.
you speaking, dude. And we've known each other, I think back in 2020 when I was doing the Bible studies, I met you there for a couple times, and then we've done some stuff at the range, and just to see where you were back then to what you've transformed into now, and the path that you're leading now, dude, is remarkable, man. And I'm happy for you. Yeah. It's good to see and hear.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
hope you help a lot of men along the way.
I hope that God continues to give me men, and I would pray that my heart posture would not be one of I have to, but I get to. And none of this is about me. I'm not that great. All I did was pick up the Bible and believe wholeheartedly that it could change my life. And once I accepted that, now it's much easier for me to sit across from you and listen to you say, hey, great job. Because before I'd look at you and I'd feel so icky because I didn't love myself. And for the first time in my life, I'm proud of who I am. And I love myself. And that allows me to lead with love instead of a sword.
Amen, brother.
So, love you guys. Nice. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.
Awesome.
Out. Hey, what's up, guys? So, as you know, when I'm not podcasting, I'm doing a lot of instructing shooting courses, whether it's from basic to advanced. And the one product I'd love to see people bring to the range is a suppressor for obvious reasons. Because when you shoot, you want to shoot like a gentleman. And over the course of my career, and also while instructing, I have got to shoot a multitude of different suppressors, and there's only one that I really love that I stick with, and that is elevated silence. I've been shooting that now for over a couple years. There is very little to no blowback. It's definitely one of the quietest suppressors out there, and believe me, I put it to the test. They are made to last. So whether you're a seasoned shooter or new to the game, Elevated Silence has a suppressor to match your needs. Their commitment to quality ensures that each product enhances your shooting sessions, making them more enjoyable and memorable. If you are looking to pick up a suppressor, go to elevatedsilence.com. Thank you, and God bless.